So this presentation with our field reporters, the thing that I asked them to focus on, and it's interesting to me, is that most of us don't know about really these holes in our businesses where money's being sucked out. How many of you guys process over, I don't know, $2,000 a month at least? $5,000 a month? $10,000 a month? Okay, yeah, like 25, 40, 50, yeah. So once we start getting up to decent sized numbers, there's a whole lot of holes in there. And merchant accounts are kind of sometimes like those necessary evils that we need to really transact business. But, you know, everyone, it's like, there's so many different fee structures and different things involved that there's not too many people that are willing to really come clean and show you what happens behind the scenes in the merchant account processing world. Now, these guys up here, they're not here to sell you a merchant account. They will sell you a merchant account, but that's not what they do. They're really about being trusted advisors to some of the best in the industry, because I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you. I've had some of my best friends where they do massive launches, get a ton of money in the door, and there's nothing worse than not being able to actually see that money hit your bank. So you do all that work for it, you do all these different things, and then they put a hold on your account, or they freeze your account in some way, or they set up a bigger reserve all of a sudden. So what I like about Ryan and Ammon is that they are marketers who understand the merchant account world, so they're on your side. That's what they're looking to help you do here and get behind the scenes and figure out what is going on, because those statements are really hard to read. And so they'll probably mention my account. They had a good little laugh talking about how much we're overpaying, and we've even switched merchant accounts before. So what they do is find these holes, and it's like they'll help you make more money and put it all to your bottom line by saving money on your transactions. So let's welcome up our two field reporters, Ryan and Ammon from Platinum Payment Solutions. All right, gentlemen.
Thanks, Matt. All right, that's awesome. I got tired of hearing the music, so we went with some rock. That was a lot better. Wow, those are bright. Well, we're excited to be here today. We're excited to help you understand how to run your businesses better. We go to a lot of conferences, we speak at a lot of places, and we always see the same thing. Everyone gets really excited, really pumped up, gonna go make some money, and then you hit that wall of setting up your gateway. You know, what is a gateway? What's credit card processing? Which shopping cart should I use? And so we want to help you, just give you some good facts, help you understand the business a little better. So we called this kind of make evil easier. One, because it's catchy and you want to come back and see what evil is and how we're going to help you with that. But two, because credit card processing is a necessary evil. Right? It sucks for the most part that you've got to give some of your hard-earned money to a bank, and so you'd like to give as little of that hard-earned money to the bank as possible. So who are we? I'm Ryan. Ammon is our director of sales, and we work for a very large marketing company, actually. We work for PMI and NMR. Our company runs seminars, we do affiliate marketing, we do infomercials, and we work with some of the big names in the industry. We actually have 2 of the top 3 infomercials in the country right now. So my job is, I'm over operations and over merchant processing. About 8 years ago, I was managing about 150 to 200 merchant accounts for our company. And I started asking questions and started trying to understand how merchant accounts work a little bit better. And so some associates of mine and I went to some of the processing conferences to try and get some inside information, right? Figure out how it is those processors were ripping us off. Where do these charges come from? And so we went to a conference in Vegas called ETA. It's where all the agents and the ISOs and the processors and banks go to learn how to price accounts and how to set up merchants like ourselves in this room. So I'm sitting in there, and at the time, we had 3 different processors that we processed with. And I started to notice that there were questions being asked to the person that was teaching that were silly questions. So a seasoned processor who'd been in the business for 15, 20 years and was representing our company's money was asking silly questions like, what's a tier violation? And we're sitting there going, I know what a tier violation is. I just had one last month. Right? I've had a tier 1 and a tier 3 violation. They suck. I know what they are. I know how you get fined. And so here's this lady who's supposed to represent us. She doesn't know. A few minutes later, there's a guy. He doesn't know how pricing works and how should he make pricing work. So we came to the realization, sitting in that meeting, that we knew more, having run hundreds of accounts, having been put on the match or the TMF list, that's the bad list, ourselves, having had excessive chargebacks ourselves, having been through that, we knew more than all these bankers that were really set up to sell shoes at a shoe store, a retail shoe store, who are now trying to run my online business. That makes sense? They had no idea how to do it. They didn't understand the risk associated with it. They didn't know how to underwrite it. So we started a business about 8 years ago, and we started processing cards. And over time, we became really, really good at it, and now we're the fastest growing high-risk processor in the country. And we process, I'm just gonna do some blatant name dropping here for you. Guys like Frank Kern, Mike Koenigs, Yannick we're working with, Joe Polish, Jeff Walker who is here, Dean Graziosi, guys in this business who understand it and gals who get this process with us because of our marketing understanding. Okay, so it's something that's really important when you process is to not go process with somebody who doesn't understand your business. And all the big banks, I won't mention them, but if you think of the 5 largest banks in our country, don't process there. Okay, those are banks that don't get your business, they don't want your business. They actually want your business to go offshore or to go away because it's a higher risk profile. And right now the FTC is out there hunting for people on the high risk profile. Okay, let's see. So we found a way to make this a lot faster and a lot easier. And what we've found is we like to educate people. So our job here today is to just show you a lot of kind of insider stuff, show you how pricing works. How many of you, and you don't have to raise your hands, but how many of you have been quoted a price, you got your credit card statement, and the price you were charged is not the price you were quoted? The reason you don't have to raise your hand is because all of you have been through that. That always happens. Do you know why? It doesn't make any sense to go ask someone, what's your price? We've been sitting out there at the table, and I've had like 10 people already come and say, so what do you charge? What's your price? Anybody who can tell you that is lying to you. It is like buying a car at sticker price. Okay? If I told you your price without understanding your business, without understanding how many debit cards or credit card transactions you have, without knowing if you're card present or not card present, I would just be pulling a number out of nowhere. And that's what people do. So you can go online and look up merchant processing right now, and you can find 10 different sites that'll say you can sign up for a 1.65 rate right now. Okay? I mean, do it afterwards if you don't believe me. 1.65. What's incorrect about that is, first of all, most of you in here are online marketers, which means you'll never get 1.65 because cost is 2.1%. Banks are not in the business of losing money, so you will not get that 1.65 rate, but it's a great little teaser that gets you to click on their site. Then they'll give you a 2.1 or 2.2 pricing, but they won't tell you that there are also downgrades to that pricing and non-qualified rates. So we're going to talk about that and show you how that works. Okay? We've made it a lot easier, and we want to pass that on to you guys.
So what are the things that you want to look for in a processor? So what we're going to do right here is build a little stool. Each of these legs is going to build the overall relationship there. The first one is the technology. Does your processor give you the technology that you need, provide the capabilities that you need for your business to run properly? The second is the rates. Now, when anyone signed up with their merchant processor, how many people was that the most important aspect? What rate are you going to give me? Okay.
It's always the first question.
Always. What rate you can give me. And as Ryan said, if anyone just gives you a rate, if they throw out a 2.2%, please be aware of that. There's a lot more that goes into it, and like Ryan had mentioned, we're going to talk about those things a little bit more in detail. The third is the relationship. And again, this with a merchant processor, a lot of people just, again, view us as a necessary evil. I have to collect payments. They're ripping me off. They're making tons of money off me. Okay? If you have a relationship with your merchant processor, they're going to take care of the technology aspect. They're going to be taking care of the rates. They're going to be transparent. They're going to tell you why they're charging you for certain things. And again, throughout this presentation, we're going to show you how important that relationship is and why to do that.
Awesome. So let me share something with you here really quickly, because why should you care about what we're telling you today, right? Because you're at a conference to learn how to make more money. So here's why you should care. If you've got let's say that you make $1 million in gross revenue, okay? $1 million in gross revenue, and you've got your various costs there that are roughly what they are, and you've got a 10% profit margin, so you make $100,000. When you net $100,000, that's pretty good. 10% profit margin's okay. A lot of you in here probably make more than a 10% profit margin, which means this example's going to be even more powerful for you. If you were able to get a $25,000 bonus, I don't think there's anyone in here that would turn that down, right? 25 grand more if you're making $1 million. Well, there's a couple different ways to do that, and that's why this is so important that we're talking about. One is you can work a lot harder. You can go out and you can get better affiliates. You can go out and you can have better copy. You can write new content, get better products, and you could increase your gross revenue line by 25%. You could do 1.25 million. And if you look at the bottom line, how does that come out? It comes out $25,000 ahead. So in other words, you do 25% on the top line, you make 2.5% on the bottom line at a 10% margin. Does everyone follow? Or you can reduce your credit card fees by 50% by using some pretty simple tricks, by making sure you understand how pricing works, and by getting with the right company. If you do that, you'll notice you can actually make the same $25,000 in about 20 minutes. Right? That's pretty powerful. If you can cut your cost, it adjusts your bottom line, and your bottom line is it has a lot bigger effect on the amount of money you take home, obviously, than your top line. So spend 20 minutes with the right processor, make 25 grand, or increase your top line by 25%. I would advise you to do both, right? Go get the bottom line in line, get with the right processor, and then go make a bunch of money, and now your margin is 50% or 20% instead of 10, okay? So let's talk about gateways.
So yeah, there's a lot of different moving parts that go into building your whole processing solution. I talk to people all the time when I ask them, okay, who's your merchant processing provider? And they'll say, well, it's Authorize.net. Understand the gateway is separate from your processing solution. So people like Authorize.net, NMI, Verify, those are all different types of gateways. We can spend a lot of boring time going into details what a gateway does, but essentially it is an electronic bridge between you, the merchant, and your merchant account. Depending on what you're needing for your business, there's a lot of different gateways, again, that have more bells and whistles than others. A good merchant processing solution will do this for you. They'll recommend or they'll set that up on your behalf. Same thing that goes along with a shopping cart. There's a lot of different shopping cart solutions out there. One Shopping Cart, Infusionsoft, those guys have a great shopping cart who they spoke here earlier today. Does your processing provider understand what gateway needs to tie into your shopping cart, what gateway needs to tie into your CRM, and are they taking care of you?
Okay, so let's talk about interchange really fast. This is the part this is going to be, I think this is awesome because I love numbers. I understand that credit card processing and numbers is not the most exciting thing for you, but understanding what's on these slides here is going to help you save a ton of money. Cost in the credit card business is called interchange. Interchange is updated every 6 months by Visa, MasterCard, and all of the acquiring banks. There are over 600 interchange rates. This is obviously a very small sample of those rates. Every time a customer comes to your shopping cart and purchases something, it is using one of those 600 different rates. Visa has about 200 and some odd of their own rates. MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. So there are lots of different rates. Understanding that this is cost will help you see why you're priced like you are. You can see it goes from about 1.45 is about the smallest, 1.43 all the way up to 3.25. It goes higher than that and lower than that, but this is again just an example. Every time a customer comes and uses a miles card, guess what? You're not paying that low rate anymore. Now you're paying the higher rate because you, the merchant, pay for those free trips. You pay for those miles, right? When I use my Frontier Airlines MasterCard that I have, and I go and I purchase something, you pay for it. You pay for my family's miles by paying a higher interchange rate. You just went from a 2.1 rate to a 3.7 rate, okay? So that's how that works. The way processors do this is they then price you based off of interchange. If interchange is cost, processors have to make money. So they're going to price you a little bit above interchange. So the way that works is they're going to use one of two ways to price it, either a discount rate or a cost plus. Everyone in this room is either a discount rate or a cost plus. Is there anyone in here who doesn't know how you're set up? Most people know. If you don't know, come talk to us. And by the way, this is a good time to say, we only have so much time and we have a lot of stuff we can tell you about. If you come out to our booth, we've got a cool handout that actually gives a whole bunch more information than we're able to go over here in the time allotted. So just come on out to the booth and we've got a good handout for you that'll give you a lot of this info. Discount rate, this is the most common pricing out there, guys. This is what most of you have. This is what I said when you call up someone on the phone and they say, we'll give you a 2.25 rate. The reason they can do that is because they've analyzed your statements and seen, well, we think you'll be somewhere between 1.6 and 2.5. But most of your charges will probably come in at about a 2.05. So if we charge you 2.25, we're going to make about 0.25% on everything you charge. And so you sign up for that and you go, that's great. And then you get your statement and go, that's weird. Why didn't I get charged 2.25? Because when I take all my fees and divide it by my gross sales, it comes out to 4.8%. How did that happen? It's because what they didn't tell you is there are what's called a non-qualified rate, but they only give you your qualified rate. If you ask them, they will tell you your non-qualified rate. Also, on your statement, on your contract, when you sign up, it has it, but they probably don't tell you what that is, okay? That is a sneaky way of ripping you off. Because then what happens is when your fees do come in at 2.3%, they're charging you 2.75. And that's actually a low rate. A pretty standard non-qualified rate is about 3.15, okay? And that means if I come to your store and I use my card, most of you are being charged somewhere between 3 and 3.5% on my card. Okay, so understanding how that rate works is important. The other way to do it is called a cost plus model. In the cost plus model, it's done a little differently, but it uses the same principles. You've got cost on the left side, and what they're going to do is instead of bucketing your charges, they're simply going to add the processor fee of, in this example, 1/3%, 30 basis points, to every fee. So if Ammon comes to your site and uses a basic credit card and you do AVS and CVV code and you do everything right, you might pay, let's call it 2.25 plus the 30 basis points, so you'd be at a 2.55 rate. If I used my card, you might be at 2.7 plus the 30 basis points, so you'd pay the bottom amount, the 3%. So every single card would be done differently instead of being batched. Most people like this way better. You know why? It's more transparent. It's harder to hide things in here. Plus, if you think back to this bucketed rate, if all of your fees are coming in at 1.6 and I'm charging you 2.25, I'm making a ton of money, right? But if you're on the cost plus rate, now you're paying for the actual rate that comes in. But guys, here's what's really important. This is another way that people can scam people. Because by convincing you that cost plus is always better, you're being ripped off. Because just because something's transparent doesn't mean you can't be transparently ripped off, right? You can be ripped off still if you don't know what those things mean. If you don't know what that means and how to get different rates and how to make more of your charges come in at a lower rate, then what does knowing all your charges do for you? Doesn't do you anything, okay? So these are the two ways you price things. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you, how many of you actually have sat down with your merchant provider and gone through things like this? Show of hands. That's what I thought, right? It's good information. It's boring, but it's great information, okay? The education and the trust has to be there. Keep in mind, as Ryan mentioned, we started out as a marketing company, evolved into a merchant processing company as a part of that, okay? We understand it. We understand the headaches, the hassles that you have to go through, and that's why we take care of the clients that we work with. Real quick, want to talk about Stripe, Square, PayPal. This, for a lot of marketers I talk to, they use one of these providers because of the barrier, right? It's little to no cost to start up, and there's little to no monthly fees. But again, let me ask you this. How many of you plan on making more than $3,000 a month? I hope every one of you raises your hand, right? Okay. If you're planning on making more than that, you're going to be losing a lot of money by using one of these providers. And the reason is most of these are going to start you out at a 2.9% discount rate, okay? Right off the bat, that's about 0.5% higher than what you should be paying.
Which is 25 grand on $1 million.
That's your bonus right there. And you're going to see that with this next slide, and that's with debit card transactions, okay? There was an amendment passed about 3 to 4 years ago called the Durbin Agreement that basically states interchange on debit cards cannot be higher than 0.05%. So if you're set at a discount rate of 2.9%, and you have a debit card transaction where the interchange or the cost or what Visa MasterCard is charging you is 0.05, where do you think the rest of those savings are going? It's going to your processor, right? So one of the things we always advise our clients to do is have your processor break out debit card transactions, especially for those of you who have tickets under $100. If you have ticket under $100, 50% of those are going to be debit card transactions. So again, going back to that $25,000 bonus, that right there is your savings, which is huge. There's tons of tips that we have for you. As Ryan mentioned, we got a booth out there. Come talk to us about these things. Unfortunately, we're running a little bit low on time.
Last slide.
Last slide, yeah. Chargebacks, another thing. If you have a merchant account, chargebacks suck. That's the bottom line. They're a pain. They're a headache. They cost money. Okay, we can take care of that for you. We can manage those. We can alert you that a chargeback is coming before it even becomes a chargeback. And then again, we'll go through those things with you more in detail out there. But the last thing I just want to mention is the backup account. Because a lot of the people in this space, a lot of the gurus that you talk to, those are people that we've worked with, and we can tell you firsthand, the time to get a backup merchant account is not when you run into problems with your merchant account. Okay? You want to set it up from the very beginning, and there's multiple reasons for that, but primarily you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. If you run into problems with your primary merchant account, you're going to have a hard time setting up your secondary, which is huge,
Yeah.
especially in this industry.
Really quick, this is on the thing back there, but a couple tips. When you signed up for your merchant account, you were set up with an automatic daily discount rate. Tell your processor you want a monthly discount rate, not a daily discount rate. They'll switch you, but it's not in their best interest to do so. So they're going to set you up on daily because they make more money on that. The interest compounds more quickly on your account. They charge you more fees. It's also easier to hide fees in that. And it's harder for you to match up the money that you make in your CRM to your bank account because it doesn't match because they take it out first. So you never know if you're being ripped off or not. So switch that to a monthly discount rate. PCI compliance. Guys, this is a really important thing, and we can tell you about it back there. Check your statements, because I will bet you $100 that there are 10 of you in this room that are paying on your statement right now for both a compliance fee and a non-compliance fee. Is that possible? That's not possible, but we see it every day. $20 non-compliance fee, $10 compliance fee. You're being ripped off. Check that. All you have to do is call them and tell them you're ripping me off. Okay? Don't let them do that. Make your descriptors very clear. Remember, a good descriptor should have 22 characters. Anything more than that is being cut off on about 85% of the statements people are seeing. So if you think you've got world's greatest descriptor and all your customers know what your descriptor is, but you're getting refunds and you don't know why, or chargebacks, it's probably because your descriptor is being cut off. 22 characters is how big your descriptor should be. Anything longer than that, you're probably losing people.
Yeah, and make sure you put yourself in your customer's shoes, right? If you see a charge show up on your credit card statement and you don't recognize it due to the descriptor, always have your customer service number on there. You're going to fight a lot of those things like chargebacks and refunds like we had mentioned earlier.
Yeah. If you have questions about whether you should take CVV codes or AVS, which are both options on your gateways and your processing, come ask us and we can ask how you do your business and tell you. Both of those can lower your interchange rate significantly, but if you do it in the wrong way, it can also hurt conversions, and conversions are king, right? So we can help you understand that. So we appreciate your time. Hopefully this was very educational for you, if not fascinating, because it was for me. Also, if you want to sign up, if you want to get some more info, you can go out to Yonik. Go out to yonik.plattpay.com, and it's absolutely free. You can just sign up there for a free consultation, and it'll take you to a page where you can schedule a time that works for you. We'll call you and we'll walk through everything free for you. If you want to send us one of your merchant statements, we'll analyze it and send it back to you and show you exactly where you're overpaying and why. Okay? So thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, that kind of stuff is so important. It's just, I don't know, it's not fun stuff to even think about when you're running your business, but what you just showed with the dollar amounts and the profit and to the bottom line, that stuff is fun.
It's a big deal.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, gentlemen.
You bet. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Yannick.
Thank you.